Welcome to Unit 2, CIS 132 Graphic Illustration. This is Adobe Illustrator. Unit 1, we dove in and did some basic shapes, and that was kind of an interesting project where students went in and you were to download this one file, and you chose, I believe it was a bear and a sheep, and you were supposed to use the basic shapes to recreate that using layers and basic shapes. Create it as best as you can, and then below that start to um, type in a name, and then change the size of that name. So kind of starting to manipulate text within the Illustrator space. That can be a little bit challenging as well. This particular week we get into some fun stuff, and that is beginning our logo design. And that is something that can feel a little daunting, but it's exciting. We've got a lot of events in Jackson regularly, and I usually am tasked with forwarding along a lot of it, a lot of things for you to be challenged and to choose, maybe the orthopedic rehab Rose Run design logo, so I can forward that along to those people. And oftentimes they choose one of our students' work. This year, I think we have the turkey trot. We're hoping maybe we could do turkey trot this year. Hopefully, if things are all open and that event runs, which I'm feeling pretty confident that'll happen by Thanksgiving, right? And so that's another choice. So I like students to be able to do those projects because it's great for your portfolio. And we have a couple really exciting projects coming up. One is for the Valiant Women of the Vote. And just in the political climate right now, that may inspire you to do something. And it's an actual poster to create, and that's coming up. And if anybody's interested, connect with me because I really would love my students to have an opportunity. And it will, you do get prizes for this. I believe there's a cash reward. So I'm going to be sending an announcement out soon for you all, students who are getting comfortable in the programs. And you don't have to be super advanced. You can do a basic poster for this event coming up. It's coming up quick, so when I do send out the announcement, please get back to me and let me know. I'd love at least 3 of my students to help with. And it's a Jackson organization that will be holding this. That's another announcement for another time, but I will be sending these announcements out soon to you. Um, but for this particular week, we're going to be focusing on um, editing and transforming. So I provided a couple files. Use these files for the exercise 2A and the exercise 2B, and you will walk through each of the tutorials and then submit them. And then the requirement is to begin project 1 logo design. So the logo design, what's required is you're going to choose from the it's the 2021 now, Rose Run, or the 2021 um, Jackson Turkey Trot. So that's bugging me. Let's go into those instructions. You guys will walk through them together. I didn't change that to 21. So we've got 2021 Rose Run and the 2021 Turkey Trot, which will probably be super packed this year because everyone wants to be with people again. So we've got that here. What I want you to do is to just start brainstorming this week and coming up with some initial ideas. You want to research the events, go to Facebook and maybe check out the events, check out some of the graphics that you see out there, and then think of symbols that are unexpected. Think of cliches, but inject the unexpected. So sometimes we like to see things that we're familiar with, but we like to see the graphics we're familiar with a twist on what we're used to seeing. That's exciting for us because it makes us connect and it inspires us. So I always tell students, cliches are great, but you have to change the cliche a little bit. And that is the same is true for, whether it's the copy itself or a visual. So in both of those ways, I want you to start thinking about what might you choose if you were to think of a symbol for the turkey trot or the Rose Run. If you choose a rose for the Rose Run, how is that going to be exciting? We've had Rose Runs for how long? Everyone sees a rose in a Rose Run logo. How can you make it interesting and unexpected and visually engaging for someone to want to go to the event or wear that t-shirt for longer than that 1 year, right? So those are things you got to think about when you're developing a logo. You want to reach your audience. Um, so symbols that are unexpected. The project's going to require that you have 3 colors. I will not allow any gradients, unfortunately, because most logos, when you print on a T-shirt, it's not that you can't do gradients now, but it's a more complex process. And the very minimum, we want to just have 3 colors, and a very simple execution of a logo identity is what we're going to be developing for this project. So I will demo some of this for you. I know there's no videos out there for the exercise this week, but I will demo how to create a logo. I have a couple, I have a ton that I can share with you right now, which will help greatly. So you want to use free vector graphic websites. I don't want you to do any web grabs. So if you're thinking, oh, I think I'm going to do the Rose Run, and you go to Google Rose and you type in Rose and all these images come up and you grab one of the images, that's illegal. Do not do that. So as a designer, you should get into the habit of jumping into Vecteezy.com or drawing using your Wacom tablet. As Colin said, he has a Wacom tablet. You don't have to have a Wacom tablet to draw in Illustrator. You can use your pen tool. We haven't gotten really heavy into the pen tool yet, but I'm going to demo some of that for you. But you're going to create your own graphic. It could simply be some letters that you're using for the logo. It could simply be a letter in a very basic shape, like a circle or a square, something that you're developing. So I'm looking at someone's question in the chat, Jerry. The only real question I have is I can't get the folders you have given us to download to Illustrator or Photoshop. Yeah, I can address that in a moment here. I think you've emailed me earlier. So, all right, so we've got that. We've got an idea of what the project is. We're going to be building a logo for the choice of either the Rose Run or the Turkey Trot. You're going to use 3 colors, and you're going to brainstorm a unique way of delivering this logo. Okay, no pixel images, so no actual photographs are allowed for this at all. Okay, we are working in a vector graphic website, and you don't want to be working with any kind of imagery. All right, so if you do decide you want to use an image, maybe you shoot photography and you took a picture of a rose that you love and it's very unique and you wanted to bring that into Illustrator, you can do something called a live trace, and I'm going to demo that for you in a moment. And so those are just some things I wanted to speak about for the logo. All right. And of course, this has to be done in Illustrator. Don't be opening up Photoshop and saving it. That's not acceptable. The project is worth 50 points. And I provided some links for you all to kind of check out, like the Rose Run race and Facebook, the Jackson YMCA Turkey Trot, the Turkey Trot on Facebook, some of those things for you all. All right. And then for the forum and discussion for this week, go ahead and all I want you to do is talk about your ideas. You can sketch out some ideas and share with your peers. You can show your digital drafts, and then respond at least to each other, to 2 people with your feedback. It's good to build that community of support and critique with each other. Okay, so that's all I expect for you to do for this particular week or unit. This is one of the logos that was presented in the past from a student that you see here, the Orthopedic Rehab Rose Run for 2018. See how there's 3 colors. See how this was when they decided they wanted to hold it on campus, the route right at campus where they're going to meet. And so that's why they use the big water tower, the JC, the iconic JC watercolor or water tower there. So if you're wondering about that, I see someone's already posted in the logo design forum. So that's exciting. I'm going to go ahead and just open up Illustrator, and we've got a good amount of time here where I can demo just a couple things for you. Desktop. I will launch Illustrator. It's lagging a little bit today. Oh, gee, it quit last time. All right. So basically, you can create a new um, file. It's going to be, it can be, I would just default to print, which is just perfectly fine for a logo identity because you have to, building a logo digitally will always probably revisit the print file because that's going to be your highest, your best quality saved file. And any logo identity has to be built as a vector graphic. So we've got your print file. I have the document as a 5 by 5 inch. I like to work with square documents. I know one of the students that are here with us today, she mentioned earlier that she was trying to change the size of the document. I'll show you how to do that as well, okay? And then you'll want to just name your file. And I always like to do my last name. Well, I'll do last name underscore. You know, this is, I think I'm requiring you to do like project one. You know, as long as you have a consistent way of having naming conventions, you'll find when you're in the employment area, if you're in an environment where you're working for someone or if you're working for yourself, you're going to have to establish these consistent naming conventions. That's going to be critical to being able to find things, because how do you search for something if you name things willy-nilly every single time, right? So I've developed for students, I like you all to have like your last name underscore and then the name of the project. If you have a couple extra characters in there, I'm not too picky. I'm not going to count you down or anything, but just get as close as you can with your name and the name of the project. So P1, if you wanted to put logo on there, that's fine too. I think I do in the submission link have an exact file name for you in there. Now for this, you can just let some of this default. I only need one artboard. Of course, if I wanted to do several options, I could add additional artboards. I'm just going to go ahead and say create. Okay, so here you can see that I've got my 5 by 5 artboard. I have a student that said that hers defaulted to maybe, I don't know, a different size artboard, and she was trying to get it to be 5 by 5 because that was the requirements. Or maybe I had a letter size last week that I was requiring you all to work in, and when you created a new document, it actually had a different size artboard. And I don't know if I walked you through how to change the artboard, so I'm going to do that right now. So if you open up a file and it defaults to a letter size page, you would then go to document setups up here in the control panel, document setup, and then you would go to edit artboards. All right. Immediately what happens is it selects the artboard. And so that you can look up here and change the size real quick. So if I wanted it to be letter size, width, let's just say 8.5 by 11. And then if I do a Control-0, that entire artboard comes within my view. And then to get out of this mode, all I do is I select the selection tool and it brings me right into like the working mode. If I want to go back to the 5 by 5, I would just go back to document setup, edit artboards. And then again, I would just go tab 5, hit my return. And I've got my return. If I want to get out of the edit artboards mode, I go into my selection tool. I also you had said, a student earlier had said something about zooming in and out. You can certainly click on the zoom tool and go back and forth if you want. Left and right will bring you in and out if you click and hold and go on your trackpad left and right. The other thing that I find I like so much better, I don't even use the magnifying glass tool anymore, is you will hold down. If you're on a Mac, it would be Command, and on the PC, Control. If you don't know by now, Command and Control swap and are interchangeable. But I'm on a Mac, so it would be Command. But if you're on a PC, it would be Control. Hold down Control plus to zoom in incrementally, Control minus to zoom in, to zoom out incrementally. It's a savior. I mean, it really is the right increments. You can adjust the increments in your preferences. Preferences for Illustrator are up here. Illustrator preferences, general. This will allow you to customize your workspace quite detailed. You can go into like units, do a ton of different things within your preferences. But what I want you to understand is how to zoom in and out quickly when you need to. And that is just the easiest way for me. Certainly use the magnifying glass if that works for you. You can go down here also to this little percentage area at the bottom, and you can hit, maybe that that 40% is how you want to view it. And then you want to go back to 100%. That is another area that you can zoom. It's not as efficient as doing the control plus and minus incrementally. Okay, those are just a few tips I wanted to show you all. Um, I'm going to go ahead and hop into my internet because I want to show you a great site. And a lot of you already know that I've given you this site many times. Vecteezy has been one of the site that I usually go to when I need a vector graphic. They're free vector graphics. There's a lot of different websites. Please share as necessary with each other in the forums or however else. You can also pay for a pro account. I don't suggest ever paying for any kind of stock photography accounts. We have enough to pull from that's free online. Go to creativecommons.org. It's another great place to go. But I want you to be using things that are free, and you can give attribution in your submission. We're not making money from any of these. These are educational projects. So it's something that you can expect is very legal by using Vecteezy images. All right. So I'm going to look for rose. Now, if you take a look at the search results after I hit rose, you can see, well, once they load, everything's lagging today, but you can see there's a lot of free images. And as usual, I'm always gravitating to the ones that are, oh, this is beautiful. I like that graphic. That's free, but the one I really want is like going to be paid for, right? So just be careful. Just only click on the free ones. So this is kind of neat. I can click on one of these. It's going to ask me free download. And when I click on free download, I'm going to say free license, but it says use this link above for attributing the designer. Okay, so I'm going to click on the link and see how it copied it to my pasteboard or my clipboard, sorry. So I click on that link and it's copied, and I'm going to hit free license and it's going to download my image. This is a reputable site. It will not download any virus or anything of that nature. All right, so now I'm going to just close out of this, and I now have my Vecteezy image. Find your Vecteezy image. The EPS is the one that I'm going to go for. Sometimes it'll be, that's going to be your vector graphic to use. So I'm going to drag the EPS right into my Illustrator. I'm just going to say yes. Okay, so it opened another file in another tab. And all I want now is like a portion, because I want to, let's say I just want to use this rose part. Of course, you can freehand draw this rose, which I would encourage everyone to do something like that first. But if you look, it's all kind of connected. You might have to go up to Object, Ungroup to be able to get it disconnected. And then click off. Now let's try and click it. There you go. So now it's not grouped anymore. Now I can literally copy this rose, do a Control C, and go into my own file and do a Control V. Remember, you can go back to Vecteezy and grab that attribution from the artist and place it within your submission link, or just tell me that you used a Vecteezy piece of art. Okay, so this is a start of my logo. It's just a start. I don't want you to do something like this and then be done with the assignment. You certainly have more to add. So I'm going to look over here, and maybe I start to change the colors, and maybe I start to bring in some kind of ellipse, object arrange, send to back. So I'm starting to create sort of maybe an emblem type of logo of sorts. think simple. Think simple graphic. Maybe I want to add a white outline. So I added a white stroke, and then up here I can make that stroke larger. I don't think I like that very much at all. I'll take off the stroke altogether. So play around, and then you're going to want to add some text, right? Grab your text tool, and maybe you want to place that text on a path. So if you hover over a path with the text on a path tool, click and hold down the type tool, text on a path, I can now take a look and see how that little path shows up. I'm going to click right there. It automatically adds text around the circle for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 2021 orthopedic rehab. That's the way the company spells it. Orthopedic is actually not spelled. It's usually without the A, but just so you guys didn't think I made a typo. See, all right. Okay, so you can see the color went away on the inside. That's okay. I can add another circle. And I want Rose Run to be somewhere else. So I like how it says 2021 orthopedic rehab. And then I'm going to back up with my control minus just to incrementally back out. And then I'm going to grab my text tool again, click down here, and I'm just going to say Rose Run. I don't want it to be all caps because I want a little variety. I've done all caps up top. I'm going to move this over here. Now I'm going to enlarge that a little bit. I want some hierarchy, right? I want hierarchy in the sense that this text, I'm going to scroll down. Now look what happens when I do a text on a path. If I click on it, it's no longer centered. Now, if you double click in there, triple click, it will highlight everything and you can type in there. But if you go to your selection tool, you actually see these little lines of the circle. You're going to want to center it by clicking. If you hover over here on this little line of the text on a path, it actually shows a little arrow. You click, hold, and then move the text to the middle. And you can always adjust it visually. So now it's centered again. And if you make it larger again, you can just kind of move it. But just so you know, you got to be in your selection tool to do it, and you've got to hover over one of those little lines, click, hold, and move it. That allows the text to go around. Okay. So orthopedic rehab, Rose Run, and now I'm going to add another circle similar to what I had before. That went away when I added the text on a path because it'll do that. Object arrange, send it back. And then if you hold down shift, click and drag, it'll enlarge the shape. So I'm just showing you a couple little things, little ways to work in Illustrator here that will allow us to create logos. Right, that's feeling a little better. This might be a little, I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. You want to choose the right typeface for the mood and tone. There's not a lot of contrast with black over this weird brown color. Not sure I like the brown color. Let's see what else we can do here. There's a little more contrast between the rows in the background, but let's make sure we've got some contrast with the type. Maybe we've got some interesting greens and blues we can pull from. Make sure these things are centered. Make sure my circle is actually matching the same arc here. And it's not really feeling like it is, so I want to adjust it just slightly. There we go. So now I'm starting to get something that feels a little bit more like a logo, right? Um, High contrast type up against a background is incredibly important. So we're not going to be able to read something if it's a middle tone color over a mid tone. Or look at, I had this exactly the way before that I wanted to express the same kind of point. Even if you can read it, that is super low contrast. That is just really poor design choice. You want it to be the highest contrast that you can possibly have it. Maybe this becomes white. I don't know. Maybe it's 2-color logo. That's okay too. 3 colors is usually desirable because I think that's a requirement that I had as well. And then you can play around with, maybe it is uppercase. Just play around with what you feel is a nice contrast. And if you've got hierarchy where your type isn't all the same size across the board, it looks like my graphics, the largest thing. That's what I see first. Then I can read, Rose Run, and then I read it's the 2021 Orthopedic Rehab Rose Run. So that is a start of how to do a logo, and I just demoed that. Let me go back into the course. All you're required to do for this week is to actually talk about what you might want to do, because I really want you to look for graphics. Take some time. Enjoy enjoy the process. The process is an incredibly important part of design. And so that's sort of what I want you to really focus on, is the process. Research these links, take a look, and then jump into the forum, get some ideas with your classmates and respond to them. Okay. So that is what I have for you this week. Do the exercises, and then really spend some time brainstorming, and then discuss it within the forum. And that's what's required for this week. Next week, I believe, yep, you've got your logo design to complete next week. And we have a couple other exercises next week. So if you can get a good, if you can get ahead on the logo project, you won't have a lot to do next week. You have more time for your exercises next week. Okay. So get a good amount of thought process and brainstorming into the logo, and start to just maybe do a couple different renditions of one you like this week, and then make your final decision next week. And then submit that at the end of next week. So the logo project isn't due till the end of next week. I will open this soon. What this is another demo of another logo. Excuse me. And then all your grades will be uploaded by end of day tomorrow. And I'm going to hopefully reveal a couple weeks further this upcoming weekend, so you can work ahead for those of you. I wanted to start out slow to ease into it until everyone got familiar with the space and was able to download the Adobe Illustrator software onto their computer. So any questions on what I've just reviewed for you all? Feel free to unmute yourself or type in the chat if you have a question. Oh, and I will answer, let's see, I've got lots of things in the chat. Nope, Jerry, I believe I added some links for you to take a look at for the Rose Run. I don't think it's the same one. Oh, and thanks for the tips, Colin. And then Beth, in the instruction, it says to avoid using a rose. Absolutely, avoid using a rose. I'm glad you brought that up, Beth. If you want to use a rose, it's okay, but do something other than your traditional. I want something engaging. So the symbol that I did in Illustrator, while it's a rose, it's a flat, it's not a traditional rounded rose. Come up with something just a little unique, other than your traditional looking rose. Think of something symbolic. Maybe you use, some people have used tennis shoes or something like that. One person used a tennis shoe. I think I have some of those left on my laptop. Let me see if I can find them. Old Rose Run examples. Give me 1 second. I'll pull some up for you guys. Um, okay. Okay, so that's one. You can see that here was one. Um, there's not really any rows there. That was not chosen. That was just something that someone designed. Trying to think. So many people did so many different designs for this that I have them in my computer saved from a couple different years. So there are some examples. I wonder if I moved those examples. I may have backed them up somewhere else. My computer was getting overloaded. Yeah, I only have the orthopedic one that's in here with the water tower. So I showed you that one example, and that's all I have for you to show you guys today. But maybe I'll go into my backup folder and I'll try and find a few more examples for you. I think in maybe a few extra minutes here. Let's see if I have. Oh, I don't have them here either. Yeah, I'm going to post some examples of prior Rose Run logos. That would be helpful for you all. I thought I had some in here. I guess not. All right. So stay tuned for that. And then let's see, I wanted to answer a question for Jerry. I will take questions from anyone right now, but let's see. Jerry, I know that you had said you were having a hard time downloading the files. Did anyone else have trouble downloading the file? I'm wondering if you hold down Alt click, right click. I think I sent somebody an email sending them a file. I thought it was you. Jerry, is that your name? Are you in the class as Jerry, or are you renamed for Zoom? Oh, okay. Okay. Gerald. Yeah. Okay. So I think I did send you, what's happening? You're not able to open the file, or what happens? Okay. All right. Well, let's see. So basically, the folders that I give you, if you click on them, they should go to your downloads. And then, so I just clicked on one. If I go into edit, I had to re-upload this one. Let's see. I didn't get any other complaints. That's why I'm trying to figure out how can I help you. I'm wondering what's happening. Everybody was able to access the basic shapes from last week. That file. Can you hold down Alt click, and then when you launch Illustrator, many times one of the things that I do is from Illustrator open up. So like a file open, not just double click on the file or drag and drop. Um, it's only for week 2. Is that what you're saying? Okay. All right. Well, why don't you stay after a little and you and I can work that out. Um, we'll see what's happening. For week 2, if I go into edit, okay, so the file's there. I'm just going to download them to see if there's any problem with them. Oh, I downloaded the submission. I don't want that. I want to download the actual folders. Yeah, if you guys have any trouble with any of the files, let me know. It may just mean that when I copied the course over, the links broke for some reason. Sometimes it happens that links end up breaking, and that's really frustrating for me. But they should work. But if they don't, please tell me. So I'm glad you're telling me this. If anyone has any questions, let me know. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to post this in Unit 2 under a recorded link. And thanks for joining me this week. Have fun thinking about brainstorming ideas for the logo. If you choose a rose, think of something unexpected, a unique symbol or flat icon like shape that might be a little more interesting just a bit than a basic rose shape. I want to push you a little bit further. Of course, it could be, a rose petal or something like that. Like try and play on that. Just do something a little unexpected. That's all. And then the traditional rose symbol. And again, enjoy it. And if you want some small little demos, I'm happy to do a little pen tool drawing example as well, which we're going to be getting really into the pen tool next unit. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording and post this within your Unit 2. You are free to go.